They can be in this at any moment. They just gotta up their mental game, let their talent speak.
Amazing placement. What a shot.
That was a Yahtzee overhead.
Aspect of mental toughness here that's just so different.
I like the body language of all four players.
Oh, look at that shot! Great hands from Kiro.
Hello and welcome to the 23-24 APTA Tour presented by Volley. We are live from the Medinah Country Club in Medinah, Illinois, bringing you the Medinah Cup, which is the second stop on the 2023-24 APTA Tour, with live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership, the APTA national sponsors, Volley and Fusion, and local sponsors, Viking Athletics, Baird Wealth Management, Monaco Mechanical, Jimmy John Sandwiches, Two Hound Red Brewing Company, Gymnastics, Sport Court Midwest, and Dilly Life. I'm Mike Raleigh, along with Dave Broderick, bringing you the Medinah Cup. Dave, why don't you introduce our players?
All right, Mike, thank you for having me today. Looks like we're going to have a fun match this morning. On your screen, you are looking at, in a blue top on the left-hand side up at the net, is Paul Rose. And his partner to his right, wearing a white top, black hat, is Scott Kahler from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And the players on the baseline to the left of your screen with what looks like a black hoodie is Adam Morgan. And to the right, playing the ad side of the court, is in a black top as well, is Tyler Fraser. And yeah, Mike, I think this is going to be a really good match. On paper, it looks like it's going to be a good battle.
Yeah, we got the number one and number two seeds. I think, I mean, it's a beautiful day here in Medinah. It's about 45 degrees. Sun might be a slight factor, but these guys are professionals. It's a great, beautiful, I mean, this club is fantastic. Looking out over the golf course, fall colors. Anthony McPherson here is the director of racket sports at Medinah. They've done a wonderful job from start to finish, and just fantastic. His brother Vince yesterday at the semifinals is a, believe it or not, an opera singer, and he kicked off the festivities with the national anthem. It was
oh, nice.
It was, I mean, amazing. I was the backup. I don't know if you knew that, but he made it in time to do it. So luckily, I didn't have to get out there.
All right. And Mike, our chair umpire today will be Darren Miller.
We'll be playing 2 out of 3 sets, regular scoring. They'll play out the third set. I mean, I think this is we're setting up for a great match. You want to go over how they got here?
Sure. I think both teams, as you said earlier, we have the number one seed in Fraser and Morgan, ranked number 4 in the country currently. And on their pretty relatively routine way to the finals, they beat Emhart and Held, Schumacher, Steinman, and Lofgren and McNerney, the number 3 seeds in the semifinals. And again, it looked like it was, pretty, straightforward matches there. And I think the same thing as well for Rose and Kahler, who are our number 2 seeds, as mentioned, and they're ranked number 25th in the country. They defeated Morgan and Scott, Granger and Ong, and then they defeated the number 4 seeds, Hansen and Hirsch, to make their way to the finals this morning. So again, it looks like it's going to be a good match. I think this is Fraser and Morgan's first tournament of the season. I know Scott Kahler last week at Montclair was victorious, winning that tournament with Mick Erdoya. So it'll be interesting to see how everyone starts out, coming out in the beginning of the match.
Yeah, and I think, for the fans out there watching at home, these are two teams that, have been on the stream before. They've been here, these big matches. I think this is, we'll have from the team of Adam Morgan, Tyler Fraser. I mean, I don't know anybody that competes better than Adam Morgan or is more competitive. But, we're looking at offense from both sides, real solid. The team of Kahler and Rose, the backhand of Paul Rose. Oh, I'll turn it over here and we'll listen for the introduction of the players.
With tie breaks. Starting to my left in the ad court will be Tyler Fraser from Cincinnati, Ohio. His partner in the deuce court from Lake Bluff, Illinois, Adam Morgan. To my right in the deuce court, we'll have Scott Taylor from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His partner in the ad court from Lincoln, Illinois, Paul Rose. Fraser and Morgan won the toss, elected to defer. Fraser and Morgan to proceed. Scott Taylor to serve.
All right, here we go, Mike. First point, Scott Kahler serving. 15 love. Mike, you see right off the bat early on, you see Paul Rose going to a cut/slash overhead, and it'll be very interesting to see how, as we know, the spin is really starting to take effect, or a lot of players are using more spin to win points. So it'll be interesting to see how how much spin they're using today.
I love, and I mentioned it last night. I get to call the semifinals of Kahler and Rose. Paul has developed that nasty cutter into that back panel up the center. You see it. The ball's, goes in below waist level and kind of moves down and towards the ad side. It's great neutralizing overhead. And then he can, from the same look, take and hit the cut drop shot. But I think that's a safe spot for Paul to be hitting that overhead all day. It's avoiding the two-handed backhand of Adam Morgan.
So a really good push volley there down the middle by Paul Rose. Kahler and Rose start out with a really solid game there.
Yeah, and I think we'll see Adam Morgan tighten it up here a little bit.
Love 15.
Kind of sounds like the U.S. Open. The plane's flying over.
They weren't able to get the plane flight
diverted,
rerouted.
I put in a request, but I don't have the pull like the mayor, Like all great teams, you hear the communication that every shot, that hit up the middle or lob, they're calling.
Watch it. Come on. Yeah. Come on.
Good long point there to start play in the second game.
There's a lot of ways to start the point. You see Tyler Fraser taking that serve into the deuce side and just bombing it at the crease. And then they give up the net when the drive's coming.
And Mike, I think that's going to be interesting because I think Fraser and Morgan, when they're at the net, are going to want to play a faster paced game, as you talked about with the serving, and then even just with their roller overheads. It'll be interesting to see how Rose and Kahler respond to that, if it actually helps them and helps create offense for them and, more opportunities. We've seen Kahler and Rose take the net a couple times in this second game early on.
And Kahler will create his offense, I think, in a different way. You'll see Paul, I mean, he's got a great forehand, but it pales in comparison to that two-hander, where Kahler loves the high forehand to the outside where he's moving to his right towards the corner.
Right.
And he, in the semifinals, really hurt the team, too, when they were playing the ball hard off the back screen. There was a lot of transition action happening when he would take that drive off the back screen. So, like you said, will the fast-paced balls from Morgan and Fraser, create opportunities?
40-15.
And you see Rose, when he gets the opportunity, looking to move in, create some pressure for Fraser and Morgan, even when they're at the net.
Sorry, partner. Yeah, no worries. Just play right here. Come on.
40-30.
That ball almost left the back screen, or left the court off the side screen over the back screen. It's just a bomb.
Yeah, that was a good serve.
Come on, Mark. Let's go.
So this is where we'll see it's 1-1 in the first set. Medinah Open Finals. Paul Rose to serve.
And Mike, again, pretty typical to what we've been, sort of accustomed to watching these days. There's a lot of transition early on, a lot of exchanging of who's covering the net.
And explain why that is.
Well, I think, as you talked about before, where guys are hitting different overheads, more spin, hitting balls harder into the screens, and just all that movement and activity at the higher level, it's creating opportunities, it's creating openings for drives to get through or lobs to get over the net team. And, it certainly makes watching more exciting. There's a lot more action to it. And I think that's starting to become a little bit more of the norm when we're watching paddle, about as much transition as we're seeing these days.
Mm-hmm. And would you say, too, that it's that players are as comfortable in the backcourt?
I do. I don't think, it used to be talked about where, you want to be at the net, where, you see all the best men's and women's teams out there that they're willing to give up the net because they know they can still win points from the baseline.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing, too, like they're going to let a ball go through rather than try. If they know that they don't have the highest probability of making that first, the volley,
15-40.
they're like, you know what, I'm not going to try to volley a ball that I'm likely to miss. I'll let it go through and then potentially drive it back at my opponent.
No, I do. I think you see that a lot more and more where, guys are willing, women are willing to let the ball go through to play a higher percentage shot, even if that means maybe giving up the net or, not taking the offensive opportunity. Because, again, at the end of the day, as much as the game is evolving and changing, it still comes down to who makes less mistakes and who keeps more balls in play.
So here's our third transition in the same point.
And you see at the net, the team of Kahler and Rose, they keep switching to get Paul Rose over on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of your screen, so that it's looking like they're looking for him to hit that cut overhead that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and I think, you know, for the players at home, or, you know, anybody watching this and hoping to learn something, they really are knowing their roles when they're at the net, and clearly they're trying to get Paul, who has the more, you know, damaging overhead. He can do more damage with his overhead than Kahler can. So they're playing kind of to their team's strengths. And one of, you know, Kahler's strengths is the volley and his ability to cover for his partner.
Really good get there by Adam Morgan to keep the point alive.
You know, and we see the two different overheads. Kahler is more, you know, hits that more of that flop shot, the waterfall, or the down-up overhead, whatever you want to call it. But where Paul Rose definitely is hitting more spin. Ball comes in lower and stays low.
Right, and I think with Kahler's overhead, you know, he's looking to hit it just so that his team doesn't get in trouble. You know, he's hitting safe overheads where, to your point, Paul Rose is looking to hit more of an attacking overhead and try to create some, you know, mistakes out of Morgan and Fraser.
Crazy thing is, this point has already been won and lost 3 or 4 times by Kahler and Rose, but Morgan's doing a great job of grinding like he does.
Kahler getting a little too aggressive, trying to move in and maybe looking for a drop shot or maybe to take that ball short off the rise.
Good hands. You know, I think another thing is, you know, as teaching pros as we both are, you're at Fiddler's Elbow, and I'm up at Exmoor Country Club, Highland Park here. The amount that the team at the net is using the middle of the court on their overheads, I think it sometimes gets lost on the average, you know, players, where they fall in love with the corners, and they, you know, every ball gets hit to the corners. But I mean, I see 60-70% of the balls right now are hit up the center of the court, and then they go to the middle or go to the outsides when they get an opportunity.
Right. Well, Mike, you and I both know that, you know, when you're hitting your overheads, that the middle panel is going to be the one that's usually not protected. Like you said, you know, everybody falls in love with going to the corner, the corner, the corner. The problem is if you can't get it into a corner screen so easily, you also have someone guarding the corner. You have someone that's going to block the ball off the screen. And, you know, when you're at the net, these guys are getting the ball into a screen. They know that either a lob is coming or even if a drive comes, but it's got to come back down the middle. And for them, that's the easiest part of the court to cover.
Yeah, great point.
Where a lot of players sometimes forget that when we start going out wide, you know, there are times that angles create angles.
Angles create opportunities and openings.
Absolutely. Two relatively quick points in comparison to the previous point that we saw.
See Kahler putting his arm up, trying to block that sun before they switched.
And while they're at the net now, you see Kahler doing a really good job of getting on top of the net anytime he suspects that a drive might be coming, whether it's to protect Paul Rose, who's off the net a little bit, or, you know, maybe just to deter Morgan and Fraser from going for such a big drive.
There's case in point right there. Slid all the way across the court to defend that drive. And again,
Another one, yeah.
You know, and that puts so much, or I guess it takes so much pressure away from Paul Rose that he knows that he's got a little bit of help when you know, Kahler's playing the role. Wow, nice cutter.
No worries. Here we go, partner.
And I think it also, you know, it just makes it so much harder for Fraser and Morgan to drive the ball with Kahler on top of the net. You know, they're definitely going to have to be a little bit more patient and make good decisions as to when to drive, when maybe to hit a few more lobs to soften Kahler up off the net a little bit. But maybe they're going to also have to try to spot their drives a little bit more if Kahler's going to be that close to the net.
Wow. Great cut overhead that opened up the court.
Really good get by Scott Kahler, and that was a good play by Adam Morgan to stay, you know, ready for the next shot, knowing that there was a chance Kahler was going to get it. Yeah, you see the sun.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Mike. The last 3 points we saw finished basically with cutter overheads.
Well, there's not many other ways. The hands are so good. You know, the drives aren't ending points. They're not missing the volley. Boy, that's a great, I mean, clinic on how to hit that volley and how he framed it every time between his hips.
You know, one of the things we saw in there, you know, we are seeing quite a few forehand and backhand volleys from, you know, all the players, and, you know, we all as pros try to work on sticking with a backhand volley. But you noticed in that last flurry that Scott Kahler never moved his paddle off of the backhand side. And I think that's what allowed him to hit such good volleys in that circumstance.
Yeah, I agree that we're looking at, you know, when, and Adam Morgan was,
Sorry, guys.
okay, we had a chair correction there on a call in the shadow. Kahler Rose are up 3.
First set, 2-1.
Oh, sorry, 2-1. Did you pack at lunch? Holy smokes, I think we're going to be here a while.
Yeah, this looks like this could be a long one. You know, and again, it's like we talked about earlier on, as much as the game is changing, you know, here we are and we're playing 3 extremely long first 3 games of the match. You know, and I don't think I think we're beyond the feeling out period. I think this is what we're going to see for the next however long we're on here. Mike, so this year the APTA Tour is going to be comprised of 16 tournaments, all of which will be live streamed. Of the 16 tournaments, there are 4 Grand Prix, and the 4 Grand Prix actually coming up not too far away is Chicago Charities, November 4th to 6th, Philly Cricket Classic, Detroit Invitational, and lastly, the Short Hills Invitational. The Nationals this year will be held at the Country Club in Brookline, Mass, March 8th to 10th.
15 love.
I think it's fantastic, the amount of live streaming and, you know, the ability for people to be on their couch, out of town, watching the action. I think it really raises the level of accessibility for, you know, watching great play, you know, hearing great commentators like yourself, you know, and learning from the live stream.
Well, I think you're adding to my commentating. You're coaching me along and leading me on the path here. I'm following your lead, as they say. But no, I agree. I mean, you're even seeing and hearing from players and clubs that they're having, you know, events, watch parties where members are coming, you know, maybe for round robin play, and then they're watching some of the great live stream that's out there. And you know, I think it's just adding a whole new dimension to the sport and to the community of platform tennis.
2-2 here. First set of the finals, Medinah Cup. Medina, Illinois. Got Scott Kahler serving and right at the screen. Paul Rose on the left-hand side. Wow, that was absolutely torched.
15 love.
Yeah, that was a big forehand there by Tyler Fraser. Just maybe went a little bit too much for that cut overhead. Now, it's interesting for everyone watching how, you know, Morgan and Fraser just hit 2 balls through the net team, and they were 2 different ways. One where Fraser just bombed the forehand, and then Adam Morgan with that last shot was very precise, and he picked the target, and he found an opening.
Yeah, and there's a case of where Paul Rose missed the volley, and he just turned and said, let it go through. You know, let that ball come off the back screen and transition out of there, or drive it back and keep the net. See, Paul Rose has the wrap on his right knee. Said he had MCL surgery in April. Had a tear in his MCL. Said he's feeling good though.
It looks like he's moving well out there.
30-40. Hey! Hey!
So Morgan and Fraser making a switch in the backcourt.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. I mean, they did win the last point with Adam over in the backhand side, Morgan in the backhand side over there. So maybe they're going to see if this is could lead to something.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, they just changed the look of the backcourt team where, you know, that the normal spots where Kahler and Rose might be comfortable hitting to have now shifted to the opposite, you know.
Right.
That
to a
spot
different
is no longer there.
Right.
That'd kind of be the equivalent of potentially, you know, if you have a couple hold points or big points that you're not holding serve, you go to an Australian or an I formation at the net just to kind of give that returners a different look. Well, here,
right,
they're giving the overheaders a different look. And they got a look they wanted there. I think that it's a great look. Wasn't the professional miss of a missed drive long, but...
And I think earlier on, you know, probably 2 shots before that missed backhand by Morgan, Paul Rose made an incredible half volley to just keep the point alive.
Wow.
Vintage Fraser Morgan.
That looked like another one where Rose got caught a little bit, where I think he thought about letting it go, but then he decided to play it.
You know, I don't know if you heard it, but Kahler's like, I kind of screened you there. He apologized. There was a little indecision in some way, shape, or form, forced the miss on the volley. Interesting here, too. We haven't seen... I think Kahler and Rose have not switched on this side of the net, so it might be partially sun-related when they're into the sun. Paul's got the Hollywood shades on. Right now, Kahler's got his sun to the back to the sun. Sun isn't a factor.
You know, I noticed that before, you know, a couple of points ago, that they're staying with this traditional, you know, staying on their sides and not really switching over.
There we have.
Game, Fraser Morgan. Fraser Morgan leads the first set, 3-2.
Volley is a proud sponsor of the APTA as the first all-enabled training experience. Volley modernizes racket sports by delivering the on-demand dynamic system for live play training and better workouts. Volley creates a community to connect pros and players while giving users personalized performance insights to track progress and customize their practice. Ask your pro about a volley lesson today. For more information, visit getvolley.com. Mike, have you seen the volleyball machine in action?
I met with Madik last week and spent about an hour and a half. It's pretty impressive. It's really neat. I could have been a contender if I had that when I was an up-and-comer. No, it really is a neat machine. I mean, smarter minds than mine to get that thing. Well, I mean, the technology that's wrapped up in that is just incredible.
30 love.
Yeah, we saw it Tomas Christian had it over at Beacon Hill, and we saw it in action last week, and it is very impressive.
Me. Now, can you grab Tyler L's got it.
Sorry.
Allison Morgan jumping out to grab that ball. What a wife.
No worries, partner. No worries. Here we go.
The champion, women's champion.
Guys, you're gonna have to
Medinah
remind
Cup.
That sort of good then is.
Okay, sure. Clear point.
Right, that's right.
30.
Correct. It's 30-15.
No, come on. Nice serve.
40-15.
Nice serve.
Wow, that's some solid serving to consolidate the break.
First set.
Yeah, and you saw that Fraser even went after that big first serve again. Even after the last time he served to Kahler, he hit one out. But he's sticking with his strategy, sticking with his plan, and right now it seems to be working.
That was a smooth backhand drive off the back screen from Scott Kahler.
Yeah, that was a nice hold, good pace. Caught Tyler maybe backing up just a step, looking for a lob on that play. Yeah, really good shot by Scott Kahler.
You know, and something worth noting, I think, you know, if we're talking about the educational opportunities that I was watching here, the percentage of drives that are winning the point are very small. You know, and
Right.
if I'm a player at home, you know, I think too often our students, they try to, you know, they think that the drive is the point ender.
Right.
And they put so much pressure on the fact that they've got to, I got to drive this ball. And, you know, the reality at the highest levels and at a lot of levels is it doesn't end points. All right, this is, we're in a little trouble spot here for Kahler and Rose.
A couple of loose mistakes there in a row there for Rose and Kahler.
You know, we had an overhead miss and then that volley miss long.
Come on, good dig.
Great
What a get there
defense.
by Adam. Yeah.
Fraser Morgan leads the first set 5-2.
You know, and I think this is going to put a lot more pressure on Kahler and Rose if they're playing from behind, because, you know, I think the last thing they want right now is Morgan and Fraser to start feeling like they can start moving freely around the court, blitzing a little bit more, putting a little bit more pressure on them. So I think, you know, they really kind of need to steady the ship here and, you know, get back to the way they were playing, where they were keeping Morgan and Fraser back, you know, more at the baseline, and they weren't giving them that confidence to start moving around the court like we've seen in the last two games.
Yeah, and they're really, I think, dangerous with a lead where they can kind of, like you said, loosen things up and continue to push and push.
And I don't think it's going to change their game plan, or they're going to try to go for more difficult or trickier shots. I just think they're just applying more pressure.
Mm-hmm. luck.
15 love.
The other thing that we're starting to see is, as the match goes on, Morgan and Fraser are just right now they're making it hard for Rose and Kahler to win points. They're not giving any easy points. They're not making many mistakes. They're certainly playing really well right now.
You.
Wow, that's a great get.
I got it.
You.
Oh man, that was some fun there. Exhausted watching that point.
That was a really good bunch of gets right there, all in the middle of that point.
And it really comes down to he who touches the ball last loses.
Right.
That's a no. I mean, we are really looking at, even at the highest levels, majority of the time,
Really well placed shot there by Paul Rose.
wow, great overhead.
And I think, Mike, all the people that are out there watching those last 3 balls that were able to get through the net team, they weren't overly hit too hard. They weren't that high risk of a shot. They were just good, solid shots that were well placed. As we like to say, they try to hit a spot.
Location, location, location.
That's right.
Got a set point here, Fraser and Morgan.
I got it.
And after all that flurry of activity, we slow it back down and waiting for their next opportunity to attack.
Morgan Fraser.
Yeah, wrong.
First set, Morgan Fraser, 6 games to 2.
Analysis and support, all from your phone. It takes only minutes to sign up. Ask your pro about a volley lesson today. For more information, visit getvolley.com.
We're at the Medinah Cup. We just completed the first set. Went to Fraser and Morgan. 6-2 over Kahler and Rose. We've got Adam Morgan, who is the co-director with his lovely wife Allison at Birchwood Club in Highland Park, Illinois. Tyler Fraser is the director of racket sports at Camargo in Cincinnati. Playing against Paul Rose, who's a member at Glenview Club, and his partner from Pittsburgh, Scott Kahler. Thoughts on the first set, Dave?
I thought, the beginning of the set was really good. I mean, the whole set was very good, entertaining to watch, a lot of good paddle. I think Rose and Kahler made a couple of mistakes, and kind of let Morgan and Fraser get a little momentum going, and carried it on through the set. I don't think it was a big difference. I think the set changed on maybe 2 or 3 points, and that's usually the way it works.
Yeah, definitely, as we all know, a game of momentum. And an error here or there, kind of a loose error. Saw one game where we had a missed overhead wide. Kahler uncharacteristically, and I think in the 5th game, missed 2 lobs just long, but that kind of a tough, might have flipped the switch a little bit there.
And again, you have to, give credit to Morgan and Fraser because, they're playing their game, they're hitting their shots, and they're not making many mistakes either. We see there a volley mistake by Kahler, uncharacteristic, but also he didn't really get on top of the net on that one.
Yeah.
I think maybe Morgan caught him by surprise a little bit.
One of the things that I'll stress a lot too for the backcourt team is if you kind of paying attention to the lobs, that good lobs in this game aren't landing behind their opponents. You look at I say that there's about a 6-foot band in front of and behind that service line where the majority of the overheads are being hit front. So that lob is really, they're just trying to move the team around, not get the ball behind him and take the net over. And as I say that, Paul Rose hits one within an inch from the line.
Right. But to your point, Mike, I think, for most of the players playing today, when the ball gets lobbed over the net team's head, you know what? They're just trading places is what they're doing. They're not really creating anything. I think when you keep it within that 6-foot span, especially more towards the back of it, to your point, you're just looking to push them off the net to maybe create an opportunity to drive at the net team while they're not able to get back on top of the net. And I think that's an important part for people out there watching to realize that, the lob over the head, a lot of times if you try to get it over their head and you're successful, a lot of time it's long, but it just trades places. It doesn't really create opportunities.
Yeah, and the lob is creating opportunities to drive, not to take the net over.
Right.
That's the big one. We lob to drive, not lob to take the net.
Ooh, that was the one Adam Morgan wanted.
I think so. 15:30 here, Fraser and Morgan.
Mike, I think this is a big game for Kahler and Rose, not only because it's a break a serve, but more importantly, it's still early in the set, but I think it's an important game because if they lose this game, this is going to be 5 games in a row that they've lost. And, to your point before about the momentum, we want to slow that train down.
And there really is no panic, too. And the top players, they lose the first set. They're not panicked that, oh, my gosh, Ray J. Murphy, a longtime pro up on the North Shore, he always said that the first set is worth 20% of the match, you know, and it couldn't be
Right.
more true, that you don't start the parade when you've won the first set because the match is over, and, you know, there isn't a funeral for the match because it's only the first set.
Right.
But I think they want to come out here and really, like you said, they've got to kind of reestablish a solid footing here.
Mike, I'll tell you, so far in this match, and if you agree or disagree, I think a big part of this is I think Tyler Fraser's playing a very patient, solid, really good match. In the past, you know, he's made some high-risk decisions and shot selection choices. But I think today he's playing really well. He's sort of letting the play come to him. He's not really forcing it or going for too much.
Yeah, he hasn't made many errors in whether they were errors under the attack or not. I'd say he's playing what I'd call very tight, you know, and tight in the sense, not in a bad way, tight in nervousness, but he's playing very disciplined.
Right.
You know, not loose, where,
Right.
you know, giving away a lot of free points, which is, I mean, if they're not doing that, that's a tough team to beat.
And we see here that they start the second set with a break of serve. Tyler Fraser going to serve at 1-0 with them up 1 set.
And yeah, it's I think is this not the 6th game in a row that they won? Because they held to go to 2-2, broke at 3-2. So
Yeah, so this is the 6th game in a row.
And Dave, if you were coaching Rose and Kahler, what would you say they should be, you know, focusing on here?
Well, I mean, the easy answer is Paul Rose hit more slash overhead winners like he just did. But you or I have never seen anyone hit 48 winners to win a platform tennis match, have we?
No.
You know, again, I don't think they're playing poorly. I think you have to give some credit to Morgan and Fraser on how solid they're playing and the good choices they're making. It's just coming down to a few loose mistakes here and there. I would like to see Rose and Kahler maybe hit a few more balls straight ahead or down the middle when they're off the net, as opposed to trying to get it into a side screen like we talked about earlier. But I think it just comes down to those couple of few loose points that they played towards the end of the first set.
Okay. Hey.
The right ball.
15.
And even like there, you see Fraser Morgan talking that they're starting to pick up some overhead patterns by Kahler and Rose, and you know they're telling each other what to look for and you know, creating opportunities. So they're always paying attention to what's going on and what shots their opponents are hitting.
Right.
40-15.
But I think, you know, the other thing you look at, we've had Paul Rose maybe hit it a little thin there in the sense that his target wasn't. I mean, I like the shot, but just pick a bigger target. You know,
Right.
try to thread the needle.
I think for the other thing now for Kahler and Rose is also that, you know, it's still early in the second set. You know, they can't
Great
really,
volley.
you know, they can't start trying to press or force the issue like you said before. You know, they still have to stick with hitting big targets, making good solid shots, and, you know, kind of seeing what happens. But I don't think they should be looking to force it or try to make something happen right now.
Okay, Fraser Morgan.
Playing
You
part.
lead the second set, 2-0. Fraser Morgan having won the first set.
Good drive.
What a point there.
That was a fantastic point. I think we need a steady diet of that for Kahler and Rose.
Yeah, and you know, hopefully that point, winning a big point like that, you know, gives Kahler and Rose a little bit of a spark here in the second set. But as we keep talking about, you know, Morgan and Fraser are just making it hard for them to win points.
Yeah, and the points that that Kahler and Rose are winning, they're working so much harder, and we saw there like a missed volley from Rose. That great rip from Adam Morgan.
15-30.
Love to see Kahler. I like him taking that, but he can't be, you know, anytime we get a volley or reaching, they tend to lose a little bit of control.
Mike, I think with Kahler and Rose up at the net, earlier on they were getting a lot more balls into the screens, where now it looks like Fraser and Morgan are taking a lot more balls off the deck and creating some uncertainty as to whether they're going to drive it, whether they're going to lob it. But, you know, just as important is by having them take the ball off the deck, Morgan and Fraser are taking away Rose and Kahler's time to get in position for the next shot.
But then we have to watch, I mean, again, kind of coach's corner, we want to watch out for, if you're Rose and Kahler, that you're not forcing balls and trying to get them, you know, back into those corners if they're protecting. I think keep working the middle of the court to open up the corners.
Exactly, absolutely. And I was thinking about that earlier on, they were hitting way more of the overheads when you pointed that out early in the first set. And they were starting to create that angle out wide. You know, and I think, again, because to your point, they're not trying to force the ball into the corners, that's what's allowing Morgan and Fraser to block those balls and take away their time.
Me in these middles, dude. You said I got it, and then you called it. Call it earlier then. Let's go.
Little discord here.
Frustrating part about this thing.
After all that, a nice soft volley down the middle wins the point.
I mean, one of the reasons to work the middle of the court, confusion, as well as it's more of the safe zone. And ball that hit from the middle tends to stay more up the middle.
Go, go. Hey.
Boy, I love the initial drives from Paul Rose. The last one he might want back. I'd love to see him just throw up that lob and reset that point. They lost their advantage.
And I think that's, you know, kind of to my point earlier where, you know, he had a really good drive. They volleyed it back, and then maybe just went for a little bit more, thinking, you know, let me try to make something happen, or let me try to do something with this ball. And I don't think it worked out to the plan.
You know, and I think, too, you know, one of the goals of sports is to make your opponents feel uncomfortable and not let them, you know, not let them kind of settle in. And I'd say right now, the two teams, Kahler and Rose, are less comfortable out there, and you know, seeing some uncharacteristic misses and maybe forcing a few balls.
Hey.
Yeah, no, that's certainly the case. And I mean, just from this, we know just typically year in and year out, you know, Kyler Fraser's movement does create some, you know, extra pressure, and Adam Morgan's solid play from the baseline.
Hey, Fraser Morgan, they lead.
Here we are, 3-love, Fraser and Morgan.
Fraser Morgan having won the first set.
You know, and Dave, I know it's not, it's never too early to start planning, but the Team Nationals, which is a relatively new event that I've been involved with since the inception. It's in early April. It's kind of the everyman's team tournament. It's kind of grown exponentially each year, and it's a fantastic event that I want to plant the seed for everybody. The men's, it's a kind of all ranges of PTIs Exmoor Country Club. We've been lucky enough to host it. We hosted the women last year and the men this year. Just a crazy fun weekend, and you know, so all those players out there, start thinking about your team and your squad. Come in for a great team event.
Yeah, no, I was involved. We hosted it out of Fiddler's Elbow for the men 2 years ago, and it was a great event. Everyone had fun. You know, I think it's a different format, and people like it a lot. I know even from 2 years ago to last year, there was definitely a 46% increase in the number of women that played, and there was a 75% increase in the number of men that played. So it's certainly growing, and you know, the word is started to getting out that it's a fun event, and everyone should join in and play.
Yeah, it's can't say enough about how successful that event. I mean, the size. I mean, the event will be capped this year due to its popularity, and you know, there are limitations on the sites, but it's you know, we play 3 lines, so you have 6 to 8 players on a team, and round robin format, group based on PTIs, average PTIs of the team.
Mike, as we were talking about earlier on about, you know, clubs having watch parties, and just want to say, you know, hello to Scott Roskill and all of his buddies down at the Rackets Club. They texted me telling me what a wonderful job we're doing with the commentary today.
I got to give a shout out to one of Michigan State's finest, Chris Struck, who's now over in the Detroit area. Unfortunately, his Spartans didn't fare too well against the Wolverines last year, but he was a big basketball fan, and Tom Izzo's boys whooped up on my Marquette Golden Eagles, so I had to give a shout out to him.
Yeah, we're in the middle of college football season, but college basketball season is right around the corner.
Not nearly as much fun as our APTA tour.
No, we're in full swing already. You know, with the tournament, Medina this weekend. There was also the Rye Invitational, old tournament, or it used to be Sound Shore up in Rye, New York. And then I think, what do we have next week? We have the Baltimore Open next week.
Great. I can't keep them. There's so many opportunities to get out and play. I can't keep them all straight.
Yeah. Also, I believe next weekend as well is Rochester.
Taylor almost took that on the chin.
Yeah, and
Good hands.
Still managed to volley it.
Night.
Yeah, it's a good ball.
Coming. Sorry. Great play. Yeah. Come on. You.
Advantage, Morgan Fraser.
Swing all day. Yep.
Boy, we see very few free points from the team
No,
of
absolutely.
Fraser and Morgan. And, you know, I mean, Kahler and Rose are having to work for every single point. And I like the look.
Yeah, and I don't think it was a risky shot. I think it was a ball that he was looking for. You know, sometimes even the best just missed the shot.
I would have to say, I think one of the things and I'm sure you coach it too, that the professional miss, though, is always long. Because there's a chance the ball gets volleyed.
Well, I was going to, you know, one of my big things I try to tell all my players, men and women, that, you know, the net doesn't play your out balls. It catches them.
Yeah. And, you know, and Paul Rose just reinforced that, you know, he's missed, I haven't seen him miss a drive long that I can recall. I think he's been clipping the top of the tape.
You know, and I think at this level, and I mean really all levels, but, you know, when you're at the net, it's two things. One, you don't want to risk letting the ball go through and you can't get it from the baseline. And two, you know, it's a lot of times it's happening so fast that, you know, you're not really sure if the ball's going in or out. You know, I'm a big believer that when you're hitting drives, yeah, you want to get them over the net. And you know what? They don't have to be in the court. They just have to be believable that the net team thinks they're going to be in the court.
Yeah, the oldie but the goodie. Adam threw him, never around him, right? I mean, you were none.
Absolutely. You know, and again, I think if you're aiming over the net, if you're going to miss long, at worst case scenarios, you're still making the net team have to make a decision. We see a good roller overhead there by Scott Kahler.
Back to deuce. There we go.
There you go.
Nice positive fist pump, Paul Rose.
And I think even, you know, to your point earlier on, where I think, you know, Kahler and Rose still have a positive attitude that they're still in this. You know, there's still a long way to go.
Really nice volleys there from Morgan and Fraser. Just absolute a wall up there.
Yep, and I think, you know, once they saw Rose and Kahler moving in, you saw them get on top of the net and really make it difficult to drive the ball through them, through that wall at the net.
Watch out!
Wow.
You know, we're seeing a lot of great points out there today.
no confusion anymore over that middle. And do you think it's the escalation of the loudness of the cow that's making the difference?
No, I was just thinking the same thing. You know, they certainly know who's hitting which ball and who should be going for it. I think Fraser's calling yours and mine has gotten louder since that one little hiccup down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of really good gets by Adam Morgan, keeping this point alive here.
Vintage, Morgan Fraser.
I think that was a little aggressive in his positioning. He wasn't quite close enough to that to make that cut winner. But to your point, you know, to double up on Adams getting all those balls, it's like, God, what do we have to do to, you know, end a point?
Right.
You know, we sometimes see that net team start to force a little bit, maybe try to make it too good.
But to your point, like on that last point where, you know, Adam makes all these gets and maybe Rose thinks to himself, you know what, I might as well go for this shot because this might be the only way I could win a point.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, making a good bunch of good gets and keeping a lot of balls in play kind of forces that mistake, forces that error.
Boy, every point is such a cat and mouse game here, you know.
And I think as it's getting later in the second set, I think we're going to see more and more of that. See Fraser hit a big two-handed backhand, and I've been watching. He's kind of been edging over there a little bit, looking for that backhand.
That's where Kahler is so strong. If you see the number of times when the threat of that drive is coming, how he's actually stepping towards the driver, improving his
he
position.
does a really good job of closing in when he thinks a drive is coming. See there, well spotted backhand by Fraser.
Yeah. I got. You. Now, come on! Go!
Take that.
Game, Morgan Fraser. Morgan Fraser lead the second set, 4-0. Taylor to serve.
They length the point. You see Fraser and Morgan just really, even if they're losing a point, they're forcing them to work so hard to win it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. There you see just kind of a uncharacteristic mistake from Kahler, and I was about to say, what did that last game, let alone physically, what is it going to do to them mentally? They had a chance, they had a point or two to break serve, and they played super long, really good points, but here they are down love 4, down a set as well.
Love 30. Love 40.
Boy,
I think we're getting our answer a little bit here
yeah.
on what that game did emotionally and mentally.
Yeah, we've had 2 missed volleys and
Fraser Morgan. Fraser
missed
Morgan
overhead.
leads the second set, 5-0. Fraser Morgan having won the first set.
In collaboration with the APTA, Fusion is at the forefront of personalized gear and apparel. Backed by a team of seasoned industry experts, we provide exclusive access to high-end products from top-tier retail brands, all poised for customization with your club logo, team name, or corporate branding. Our streamlined approach guarantees a hassle-free shopping experience, complemented by custom online storefronts and swift ordering. Visit www.gearbyfusion.com and let Fusion seamlessly weave your branding into elite merchandise.
And Tyler Fraser serving for the match here, up 15 love. They've had, unfortunately, 6 unforced errors in a row. And then an ace.
40 love.
All right, well, Mike, here we are, match point number 1.
Come on, Adam.
That was game, set, and match.
Set and match for Fraser and Morgan.
Well, I'd like to congratulate Fraser and Morgan on their boy, that was a great showing for them. I'd like to thank Anthony McPherson and the Medinah Country Club for hosting. Did a wonderful job. Dave, any final thoughts here?
No, I just think a great start to the season for Morgan and Fraser winning the tournament. I thought they played really well. As we talked about many times, they didn't really give away many points and just made it hard for Rose and Kahler to get anything going or to win points. Good start to the season for them together, and Scott making a final after winning Montclair last week. So, I thought, again, it came down to a couple of matches. The second set got a little bit away, but it was a long, good, hard-fought set. I think just Fraser and Morgan, won most of the big points and won the points at the right times.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank you for calling the match with me. And from the APTA, I think we're Medinah Cup. We'll call it a wrap there, Dave.
All right, Mike, thank you, and look forward to being out here more often this year, and we'll see everyone soon.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Hang on my feet.